To a litigant, the family court system often operates like a black box. Rulings come down that seem entirely disconnected from the facts, leaving people feeling victimized by an impenetrable and biased machine. The natural response is to file complaints alleging corruption, but oversight boards are overwhelmed, and they reliably dismiss claims built on feelings, labels, or isolated bad days in court. To secure actual oversight, you have to change your approach. You must prove repeatable, document-backed patterns rather than arguing your personal opinions. By the end of this video, you'll know how to organize your raw, messy court records into an objective, data-backed format known as an integrity evidence packet. Completing this packet shifts your role from a disgruntled litigant to a credible auditor, presenting pure data that the system cannot easily wave away. Step 1 is establishing the ground truth. We start by constructing a rigid, chronological timeline of every single event in your case. This timeline requires 6 precise columns for each entry: the date, the filing, the hearing, the resulting order, its effect, and the source. There is one absolute rule for this framework. If an event cannot be cited with a specific document, like a docket entry or a transcript page, it cannot be included. A perfectly sourced timeline removes the subjective he said, she said dynamic. It anchors the narrative to the verifiable reality of the court record. This diagram illustrates the 6 evidence pillars. Step 2 is reviewing your timeline for anomalies in due process, evidence integrity, and conflicts of interest. Next, evaluate financial incentives, opacity, and disparate treatment. Tagging each anomaly into its bucket exposes the actual problem mechanics. By sorting these events into clear categories, you expose the underlying court breakdown. You stop arguing bad outcomes and start demonstrating systemic failures. This is a mock-up of the integrity evidence table. Step 3 is building this spreadsheet, which serves as the core deliverable of your final packet. You start by drafting a strictly neutral claim, a single sentence describing the issue, and you tie it directly to your exact source citation. Then you define the procedural deviation. You explicitly contrast the what should have happened against the what actually happened column. The most critical step is preemptively logging a fair, innocent explanation alongside who benefited. Acknowledging the other side's likely excuse neutralizes the court's ability to dismiss the issue as a simple mistake. This table mathematically demonstrates the strength of a pattern. When the same procedural error repeats 10 times to the exact same person's benefit, it becomes nearly impossible for an oversight board to ignore. This iceberg diagram illustrates how court data is distributed. Step 4 maps hidden administrative data targets. Internal administrative records contain data that never appears on the public docket, like vendor payment totals or scheduling metadata revealing how the court's machinery functions. You trap these lawful pathways by logging specific data requests in the next step column of your evidence table. When you start formally requesting scheduling metadata or aggregate vendor payouts, oversight committees realize you are investigating systemic mechanics rather than just fishing for personal grievances. Step 5 is the final review. Before assembly, you must completely sanitize your packet's vocabulary, stripping out emotional language and replacing it with professional terminology. Explosive labels are a dangerous trap. Using words like bribed or corrupt instantly destroys your credibility with neutral reviewers, regardless of how strong your evidence is. Methodically scrub your table. Remove every emotional descriptor and let objective, process-oriented terminology carry the weight of the facts. Finally, you assemble the packet. Bundle a clean one-page case summary, your completed evidence table, and copies of every cited exhibit into a single cohesive file. A sanitized, professionally assembled packet forces the reviewing authority to engage directly with the data. They have to run the numbers because they can no longer dismiss you based on tone. Mapping every anomaly to a pillar and anchoring claims to a source citation replaces the chaos of the original record with a structured, auditable file. You now have a solid foundation to deploy this packet. You can use it to request an oversight review, file a formal complaint, or submit an evidentiary preservation motion. Keep treating this packet as a living document. As new rulings come down or new anomalies appear, log them in your table and expand the pattern. True transparency demands meticulous documentation.
It requires a reliance on cold, hard receipts over rumors. Following the findings and presenting pure data ultimately strips away the courtroom's black box, forcing the system to